Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel, and this is your tip of the week. This particular decorative towel has a heart applique on it, and what I mean by applique is you take one piece of fabric and you fuse it using fusible web onto another piece of fabric, and in this case I fused it onto this decorative or to this towel. But I wanted to cover the raw edges, so I've used a satin stitch on this edge. So I'm going to go over some of the basics of doing a satin stitch. So these three right here that you see are different widths of satin stitches that I use. One of my sewing machines has these already preset for me. So I've got three different satin stitches I can select, but it doesn't mean you have to keep it at this width. You can change the width and length of it. Most of your machines only give you one stitch, and then of course you adjust it to whatever you need. So on the satin stitch that I use, for instance, the narrower one right here, the length is 2.0, the width is 2.0, the length is 0.6. On the medium, which is the one I use the most, the width is 4.0 and the length is 0.6. And then on the larger one, the width is 6.0 and the length is 0.6. The length helps bring the stitches in tighter so that you can't see through them. So I had a question from a viewer. She didn't quite understand how to do it at the sewing machine. So I'm going to take you to my machine and show you how I go about doing it. I'll also talk about the type of presser foot you need to use. Now they may look differently from different brands of sewing machines. Always refer to your user's manual for the correct presser foot to use. I'm at my Baby Lock Crescendo sewing machine, and here is my satin stitch right here. It's under the decorative stitch menu, and then over here it'll tell you what presser foot they recommend you use, and then this is what the stitch looks like. If you want to change the length and the width of your stitch, you go down to here and change the width, making it larger or smaller, or changing the length. The length will make the stitches get real close together or really far apart. It just depends on the look that you want. Make sure you have your stabilizer underneath your fabric, and then go ahead and place it under your presser foot. Now right now, before I lower my presser foot and needle, my needle is over on the right. I can see that it's off center. It's supposed to be that way. So I know that when that needle goes down, it's going to go down on my heart-shaped fabric. So you want to try to center the edge of your fabric right in the center of the presser foot. I'm going to lower it down and then begin sewing. Now, as you go around a curve, if you need to turn your fabric a little bit, because the curve is going out towards my right, I want to make sure my needle is going down on the right. Also, you want to make sure your presser foot is lifted before you turn the fabric. And on most computerized sewing machines, there's a button you can press that will automatically make the presser foot come up every time you begin sewing. So then you would continue sewing. You want to just keep turning your fabric really, really slow all the way around. Now when you're done, you take it out of your machine and you just tear the stabilizer off of the back. So here are some samples of applique projects that I did. This was a piece of fabric that I cut out of fabric. The flower was already printed on. But on the edge of this flower, I used the narrow. But on the leaves, I used the medium. Here is another decorative towel, and these are little flip-flops. And I used the narrow on the outside of the shoes. And of course, here is the heart where I used the medium. Now I also made a yard sign doing applique, and I used the medium on all of these. Recently I had a viewer ask me if I had a tutorial on making a ruffle that had a little border on it. And I do, and the technique that I use is really, really simple. So I'm going to go over how just simple it is. All right. When you go to cut your fabric, this fabric here is cut narrower than this fabric because it's wrapped around to the back. So here's my two pieces of fabric. I'm going to bring right sides together and stitch a 1/4 inch seam. Then I'm going to press the seam. Then turn it over after you've pressed the seam and bring these two edges together and press again. So when you're done, it looks like this. Then you do your basting stitch along here to gather it up. And then this is what it looks like when it's placed on a pillow. I also recently had a viewer ask me about, she wanted to know how to hang a quilt. And so I'm going to go over just a few little things that you can do to hang a quilt. It depends on if you have a finished quilt. In other words, the whole thing is completely done and it has the bias tape on it. In that case, on the back is where I have the casing for whatever rod you're using to go through it. Now this rod's really skinny. You want to make sure you cut a piece of fabric that's big enough to handle the rod, and don't have it too tight. It needs to have a little bit of flexibility in there. So because this quilt was already done, I folded on this casing, I folded the top edge underneath. Now I'm going to flip this over. Up here, where the binding is stitched on, that's where I'm going to do my stitching. So you want to make sure that this is placed above that stitch line. And you pin it on, and then you stitch right along on top of your binding, right on that same stitch line. I'm going to flip it over. Now, to do this part, this you do with hand needle and thread, and you just do a little whip stitch. Don't let your needle go all the way through the top side. Just grab the fabric on the back and stitch it down. And that's how you do it. Now, let's say your quilt's not done. You don't have your binding on yet. Then you can place the top edge of your casing inside of that seam, and it's all going to be hidden, that raw edge. Here is a little sample quilt with, I have tab tops on it. Now how many tab tops you place on it depends on how big your quilt is. If you've got a giant quilt and you only put one tab at each end, it's going to sink in the middle. Even if you put 3 on, 1 in the middle and 1 on each end, it's still not going to hang very well. So you need to place them far enough apart to where it still looks nice, but it's also making sure that that quilt is going to hang straight. So the best thing to do is pin these on first, hang it on a rod that you're going to use, and look to see how straight it stays across. So on the tab top one, I have them stitched on the back side, one end of it stitched on the back side. The other one, the other end of the tab is then folded over to the front. Now, you don't have to do it that way. You can have both ends of the tab stitched only on the back side. But on this one, because I wanted to put star buttons on it, I fold it over to the front. So you have two different ways that you can do this. If you're interested in getting more detailed information on how to hang your quilt, there is a link below your YouTube screen in the description section. Well, I hope this tip of the week was helpful to you and that you've learned something new. Now again, if you're interested in getting more information on some of the things I talked about, scroll down below your YouTube screen in the description section. Click on the word more, and that section will expand open and you will see all of those links appearing. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and make sure you check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl, this is Manny, and this is Scotty. See you next time.